Welcome to my channel. Um, so if you're new here, what I want to do is demonstrate how I create art. So I don't know how to draw, and I know there's people out there who are like me who might want to be creative and want to create things, but they don't know how to draw. So I wanted to show you my process and what I do. I kind of started a little bit so I could get ahead of the game. So one thing I did was I purchased brush set from Chroma Supply, and it's basically like these swirly paint brushes, and they're really for like Affinity Photo and Photoshop, but they have PNG files that come with the file, and you can use them in Affinity Designer and crop some stuff out. The other thing I have here are a few images that I wanted to use or give me some ideas. So one thing is I wanted a city background with the sky in it. Now this is not the original picture. I started some work. What did I do? Let me turn off. So this is what the photo looks like initially. And I got this from Pexels. When you're using Affinity Designer, you can pick some images from Pexels that's built into the app, but you can use Pexels pictures for free and sell them if you modify them. And you can do the same thing with Canva photos as well. So I just did a search for like, initially I did a search for sunsets, but I couldn't quite find anything that had the sun or the sky plus some ground because I wanted a couple standing with the sunlight or the skyline behind them. So I just typed in the Brooklyn Bridge. And just in case you want to know, I'm from New York. This is a very popular area, and people love to take photos here. So I thought it would be cool, but I wanted the sky to be colorized. So I added some filters, an HSL filter, and a lens filter adjustment. So the lens filter did this. It made it like pinkish, purplish, and then the HSL allowed me to adjust it a little bit and make it a little bit more vivid and bring out some of these brights, these highlights. So you see how dull it is without the HSL? Add the HSL and it's a bit brighter. And if you're using Affinity Designer and you want to know where to find the tools, you have to first be right here with this blue Affinity symbol. And then you find it over here. I believe it's, no, sorry, this one. The little three dots in a square. And HSL is right there. I'm not going to click it again because then it's going to put another one on. Okay. So this is how I got my initial image. So I like it as it is. And I'm just going to, let's lock it. I'm going to lock the artboard, lock that. And then the brushes that I have. So let's create another artboard. Okay, so this photo, again, I don't know how to draw, so I wanted a couple that was facing each other and looking like they were in love. So, but I want them to be standing on this background. So, it's a lot of work that I have to do. First, I have to draw the guy and the girl, and honestly, I might change this actually. I don't want I don't want this background. I want her legs to do this, like she's standing on tippy toe. So instead, I could have sworn I changed this. So I'm going to, what did I do? Ungroup it. Ungroup. And then I'm going to select this photo. I'm going to just duplicate it and then drag it over here. Mm, Go back and lock. Oh no, purple one is locked. Okay. So I'm going to regroup it so I can move it out of my way. group, and I'm going to move that to the side. Now I'm going to take this photo. Matter of fact, let me duplicate this picture. I don't want to mess up what I did there because I want to show you something. Okay, so this photo, and I want this pose, these legs, and I want these people. So I'm going to enlarge it and try to come close to like body composition. So it almost looks like her arm is matching up with the girl below, and his arm looks like it's matching up, right? So now I'm going to select both of them and group them so that they don't move. And now I'm going to turn the opacity down so I can see a little bit. Opacity of both. Not too much because I don't want to get confused. All right, I'm going to just leave that one. All right, select the whole thing and put it, oh, it's not grouped. What's going on here? Group it. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, so the piece that I wanted to create is a mixed media piece. What that means is I'm going to use a high-res photo and combine it with vector images of these people. And so I'm about to vectorize them. And I'm not the greatest at this. I'm still kind of learning. Let's lock it. I'm still learning how to best do this. There might be a better process as far as drawing and outlining and using the pencil, all that jazz. But we're just gonna go with the flow and figure it out. Okay. So I usually use the pencil, and I'm gonna let me start down here. It's easier. I'm gonna outline her feet. Let's do the whole body. I always get confused as to like what parts I should outline, like the whole body, and then come back in and get the details, or should I do everything separate, like do the shoes, do the legs separate? I always get confused. So, all right, she's gonna be a black girl, so I gotta give her a little bit more booty. Um, Maybe I'll start in the middle of this cheek over here, little curve. I'm gonna have to adjust that. Now, this is where I get confused because there's a line here that goes up and into his hands and around, but that's not her whole body. In fact, I probably shouldn't have went up because I got to get the rest of the body out here. So I'm going to back up. See, I'm still learning. Okay, I'm going to come back down. Let's come back down again. So I'm going to just go right here, and then I'm going to come here. And I know I'm not supposed to have this many, what is it, nodes, but yeah, I have to figure out a way to master the pencil to get the most effective use out of it. You could also turn this into use the pixel persona and draw without like the or the nodes. The only reason I don't do that is because I'm not exactly sure. With pixels, you have to know the exact dimensions so that it's not pixelated when you decide to print it. And I want to be able to sell this piece. So, okay, here's where I got to make her booty a little bit bigger. Let's see. We'll see how that looks. And then come up here. Now, I'm going to use the edge of the photo because that's where their back is. And now, this is the tricky part. Her here. I'm going to just do a straight line for now. And I'm going to have to just add the hair later. Oh, stop doing that. I'm not going to do any, like, the details of the hair. I just want to get her shape. The goal, I think, is easiest when you could find, like, if you have a curve, make a point on either side of the curve so that you can kind of get a smooth curve, if that makes sense. So you see how her lip is curved. I have a point there, make another one down here, and just curve it. And then you hit the thing again to cut off the one of the extra arms of the nose. I don't know what it's called. Sorry, guys. Okay. Yeah. And I'm gonna just get a little bit of the curls. Um, and let's say I'm gonna do this color. I don't know. Now this is gonna be the tricky part again because trying to figure out how to get from this side of her body to the other to close off the shape. I guess I'll come down and then I guess I'll come up here. I'm going around the fingers. I'll adjust the nodes a little later, make them a little bit more perfect. Now, here's the other girl's arm. I'm just gonna, they kind of line up, so I'm just gonna go straight down, or maybe move it in some, just a little bit. Mm. Now, another tricky part. I could go around his hand, but then, oops, I'm not gonna get this part of her body. So I could just back this up and just go straight down over his arm so that I could get her body, and then I have to just do these details later. All right. Her booty might not be right. And this is the reason I use mixed match images is because sometimes I can't get like find the photo that does the job. So I'm gonna have to like get a bunch of different photos and try to combine them to make them what I want. And as long as, like I said, you make modifications, then it's okay for you to create a picture with different images that are free for commercial use and then sell them for, on Etsy, Shopify, or wherever. Okay, so she's done. Okay, that's the line work. Let me name it. I'm gonna put woman line work. Woman. Okay. And I feel like I should just lock her so I don't make no movements. And now we're gonna do the guy. Again, start at the feet because it's a little easier to maneuver. I'm gonna start here. And I usually like to do photorealistic images, but I was watching another video of a YouTuber, and I can't think of his name. If I think of the name, I'll reference him in the bottom. But he said, "What's the point of drawing photorealistic images when people could just take a photo and they don't need to have the drawing?" Which makes perfect sense. So I was like, maybe I just get a little bit more artsy and creative instead of me trying to make it look realistic. So I'm trying something new. I want it to be um have some, I don't know, brush details, but not. There's a certain style that I like, and there's some that I don't like. I don't really like the Art Deco look of drawings, if that makes sense. I don't know, like the shapes, the shape within the shape within the shape. Yeah, I don't really like that. I usually use gradients to make my shading and highlights and all of that. This is a little bit, he's got a lot of shadow here. So I'm just trying to fit it in her outline, basically. I think that'd be cute, actually. And so, and then I could do, if I just wanted to do outline of them and no shading at all, I could do that also, because this way it won't be just limited to a certain demographic. I could just do outlines. All right, so now the tricky part. His body. I have to imagine because I can't see his other half until I get to the feet. So I just got to make a line basically that comes like down here and imagine that it's his body. And then we got to make it kind of come out where his leg is here and he's, I guess let's make him wear shorts. Keep it simple because I gotta figure out how to draw pants, which shouldn't be too hard, but we'll see what I do. But for now, and then again, I'm gonna just go with the outline of her shoe to complete his. I think I closed it. Okay, so that's the nail. Nail line work, whatever. Okay, now you gotta come in for some details. So this is the other thing I get confused on. I just started doing the work and it creates the lines and shapes. I didn't make a layer. So let me make a layer, vector layer. I'm going to call it um, woman, and that's everything that belongs to her is gonna go there. And then another one, vector layer, and then name it man, and everything that's gonna go to him goes there. So male line work goes inside of that layer, women line work inside of this one. Now I want to do, can I put a layer inside of a layer? I'm gonna name it details. And again, this could be very convoluted. It might be a simpler way. Put this inside of the woman layer. And then now I want to use my pen to do the details. Okay, I'll use it just to show you what it looks like. So when you click the pencil tool, you get these controllers at the bottom, and you can make it. I'm gonna leave it at one point for the width. Click this little arrow, and then you could put this rope stabilizer. So you see that it's a little small rope. Let me make it bigger so you can see. It's at 9.8 now. Make it bigger, 32. And I'll start drawing. See, it's a little pink rope dragging. That's to make it so that the line is straight. I'm gonna make it bigger because I really want it to be stable. See, the bigger you make this length, meaning the longer the rope, then the straighter your line. I don't know the difference between rope stabilizer and window stabilizer. I always use rope. So I'm gonna just leave it there. Okay. So I'm gonna go in and do her hands. Now I'm gonna do the hands separate, face separate, legs separate, like that, so that I can make sense of what I'm doing. So I'm gonna start here because I have to cover up the line, that his line or whatever with her arm. So I'm gonna fill it in. Now, being that I'm using this, sometimes I'll make it a little bit smaller because when it's too long, it's a little bit hard to control it. But yeah, these points are not going to be closed. So after you do it, you want to go and click your node tool and hit close. So I'll show you that in a second. I don't really like this line. This might not be the best tool. I might go back to the pen tool. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go back to the pen tool. Those are just good for like maybe one line or for hair, but I'm gonna just use the pen tool because I could get my points a little bit more accurate. And I'll be here forever trying to make that pencil to do what I wanted to do. Mm, okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing I did before, but this is gonna be one shape instead of me trying to make it. And this could be redundant, what I'm doing. Like I'm going over the hand all over again, but it's just gonna be the hand. And this is the reason why I'm like I should have just did everything separate in the first place instead of outlining the whole body. I don't know. So now I'm gonna use the pencil tool again, and I'm gonna just do these lines that go in between to separate her hand, her fingers, I mean, so that it looks like a hand. And then I like to do the like little wrinkles and the details while I can see them, as opposed to filling it in and then I can't see what I'm doing. So, and I might thin these lines out later. Now, for her fingernails, I'm going to use a shape. Hmm. I like to use the Crescent Tool. So I make the shape and then I just move it to where I want it to go. So I don't know if you can see these orange nodes allow you to change the shape. So you see its curves right here, and then you can make it flat like that. So I just do that so that you can make it taller or shorter. I like to do that for nails. And then I grab the move tool and I'm just gonna move it and then shape it to the size that it needs to be. I'm gonna turn the opacity down for the color so that I could see how big that nail needs to be. Mm, the curve should go, maybe it should go this way. Maybe a little smaller. And when you're on your iPad and you want the shape to keep the same aspect ratio, you hold it with one finger and then you downsize. So you first you start moving it and then put the finger, and then it keeps the same aspect ratio. It doesn't get skinnier or anything like that. One finger, but you got to start moving it first. Okay, opacity back up. I'm gonna change the color to like the neutral nude color, and I should just duplicate it. Save me some time. Move it and adjust it. Or should I could make it like she has little nails. Maybe I'll do that. And then if you want to adjust the nodes, so like right now, anything I do is just making it bigger, smaller, wider, skinny. You click the shape tool again, and then you click two curves, and then you click the node tool, and now you get to adjust it according to the position of her her nail, like the direction. And you can make this wider. So I'm gonna make it. I want it to fit inside of here. I'm gonna turn this around. Mm, shapes is a little weird. Well, duplicate. Oops, select. And I have snapping on. You could always turn that off if you think it's in the way. So, okay. Now I need to move this. Lock it. Okay, so now I'm working on the hair. I'm just going to draw basically a shape and color it in black, and then I'm going to add highlights to it later. Naming all of my layers. I'm doing the eyebrows. I had to go watch another video on how to do the eyebrows properly because I like to make them look as natural as possible. Now, lips are very difficult for me because I can't ever seem to get them to look right for some reason. No matter how I try, I have to do them over and over. So you might see me do them over again. Now I'm outlining her face. Yeah, see, I had to delete the lips and the mouth because it looked a little weird to me. And I have to line up her teeth so that everything's at the edge. Yeah, I went ahead and did the eyebrows off camera. They look pretty good though, actually. I basically used the pencil tool and changed them. I made it really, really thin and just drew the hair strands literally one by one. And I put a line underneath and blurred it out. Now I'm just making, the hair strand was too, the hair line was a little too straight, so I tried to make it a little bit more natural, which it still looks a little weird. But I'll go and fix it and try to make it like some paint strokes so it looks like her edges are smoothed back into her hair. I had to make the hair around it a little bit more like coily. Wasn't sure how to make coils, so all of this is me learning. I'm not sure how to do this. So I'm in some skinny coils so that it looked like loose hair strands. And now I'm adding the highlights all around her hair to make it come alive a little bit more. And I think that helps a lot. Even though they probably could look a little better, but from far away it looks good to me. But you know, if anybody has any way of making it better, please let me know. Now I'm trying to make the hairline a lot more natural. Going on to the jacket and trying to yeah, basically outline the jacket and add all of the little stitching and shadows, because I usually would have blurred the shadows out, but I want it to look drawn, so I'm going to leave some of the shadows there. I'm blurring out some lines to make the shadows have more depth. I think I'm grouping all of the hair so that it could get out of my way. It's hard to maneuver when you have so many layers and everything is like so many little hair strands individually, and I can't get to where I need to go. So I like to group them and make it so I have more room so I can see where I'm at. I'm drawing the curves, making these stitchings have some body to it because the jacket has a little bit of flow. And I'm just basically drawing all of the shadow with my pen tool, and then I make the shadows with the pencil tool because it's easier to do weird little shapes with the pencil tool. And then I fill them in and remove the outline on the shadows. And I'm using the Gaussian blur on most of them so that it looks more like a shadow as opposed to some harsh line. But I left some of the harsh lines there. So now I'm going back and doing her legs separately. Again, I should have probably just did everything separate because I'm repeating myself now at this point. I'm doing a clipping mask of shadow into the leg. This is going really fast now. I went to Pexels to get a skirt because I couldn't find a skirt that I wanted her to wear. So I went to Canva to find some skirts and I couldn't quite find a skirt. So I just drew what I thought a pencil skirt looked like. And the split is a little off because I'm not good at doing perspective drawing. And now I'm adding just shadow into her legs so it gives her legs some dimension. I found an image of some shoes and I'm just basically adding the shoes to her outfit and the toes because it's easier to use a picture for me, being that I do not know how to draw perspective and profile and all of that. And I don't know how to draw in general neither, so that's the reason why we're doing this. So basically, I'm remove the outline from her feet and I'm trying to make it seem like her foot is on the shoe. And I think that looks pretty okay. But I didn't really like the way the jacket and the shoes went together, so I think I ended up changing it because the shoes don't really go with that outfit. So now I'm adjusting the split in the back, trying to make it look more like it's the right angle, and it looks a little forward facing everything. So I'm trying to make it look like it's behind her. Adding more stitching, changing the color of the stitching so that it matches the jacket a little better. Drawing the other foot. And trying to smooth out some lines. So crazy because I go through all of this making a whole shoe and then I get rid of it. I end up getting rid of it at the end of the day. But yeah, I'm adding the shadow to the shoe. I blurred it a little bit. And I do clipping mask for shadows a lot of times so it could contain the shadow. And clipping mask basically means just taking one of your shapes and putting it inside of the other image that you drew. So now I'm doing him. I do him in different colors because I didn't want to get confused. And again, male hair is a little bit easier. I'll show you how I do that. I had a trouble with doing this ear for some reason. So I couldn't figure out how to make the air flow properly. So I just put that on the back burner for a little while. I'm using a texture brush to give him coils. And it looked weird at first, but I think it ended up looking pretty good. I changed the shades from like dark gray to black and light gray. So it seems like there's some light on his head. And then I used my pencil tool to make some hair strands. And I just duplicated them along from front to back, and as I went down from top to towards his ear, I lightened them, and I hit duplicate, and it just does it automatically. So as you, whatever motion you do with the shape and you hit duplicate, it's going to repeat the same thing. So all I'm doing is hitting duplicate, and I group them so it's easier. And I'm trying to create a fade effect, and I think that that came out pretty good. I have to go and adjust the colors a little bit because you see that dark line, so I do adjust that. I went to go look at a video, and I used my pencil tool to get the ear shapes just right. I created shadows by using Gaussian blur for the inner part of the ear. I'm just adding his nostril and his other facial features, adding his lips, and his eyebrows are a little short, so it's not much to do, but I did the same process, made some skinny lines with the pencil tool, and I did the same thing for his mustache and duplicated everything. I'm labeling everything, and I'm adding a shadow on the side of his face to give him that, you know, how you have a crease around your mouth. Working on his eyelashes. I used the pencil tool for that. And I'm trying to get the shape just right and make sure that he's nested inside of her forehead crease. Giving his lips some shape and color, a shadow underneath his lip. Now I'm going on to outline the rest of his body. And again, I feel like I'm duplicating it, but I have to do his arms separately, being that it's going to be on top of her. So that means I would have to take out a part of his body from the layer that I made with all of his pieces, take out the layer and put it in her layer so that it could be above her jacket. So that's why I had to do it separately. And some things I had to do separately for that reason, because it had to go above everything else. And if I put him above her, then that wouldn't have worked because her hand is on top of his. So yeah, sometimes you gotta just go break things apart and move them around. Doing his shorts now. I'm doing the same thing using Gaussian blur for my shadows, and adjusting things according to my outline. The outline was a little bit helpful, I guess, to a degree, so I knew where to how far to go out and how things lined up. But it almost feels redundant that I did that, because I end up going over everything pretty much separately. So I guess that'll be my process. So now I decided to give him some Timberland boots, and I'm drawing the Timberland tree. And I realized that I cut the shape out, but I didn't have the brown shape inside. So now I have to go and make another shape, circle, color it brown, and then group them together so that it looks like the Timberland boot. And then I also realized that the tree on the real picture is connected, the brown parts, and so I had to make another shape, like a square shape, and cover up those spaces and group everything so that it could look like it was one continuous shape. If that's confusing, hopefully it's not. And I had to go and do some of the shapes over because when I broke my nodes, it took away some of the coloring, the yellow color. So I had to do everything again manually. And this Gaussian blur tool makes things look really realistic. As you'll see with the Timberland boot, the leather part looks almost like real leather. I had to go grab some of the circles from the shoe boot that I made. If you can see that I changed her shoes. I didn't record myself doing it, I forgot. But I made her wear boots, and I add those little buckles to the Timberland boots since I already had them. And I'm trying to make the laces look two-toned, which I'm having difficulty doing. I play with different gradients. Right now it's a linear gradient, and I'm just basically drawing it as close to the circles as possible so it gives the illusion that it's going through the holes, because it's too much work for me to try to like clip part of it and put it on top, and that's a hassle. So I'm just getting as close to the circle as possible to give the illusion that it's going through the hole. I'm trying to get the shape just right. Right now the stitching is above the circles, so I'm gonna have to take everything and put it, yeah, it's below, the stitching is above, so I'm gonna have to take everything and make it so the stitching is below. So you'll see me do that in a second. I grab everything and just move it all the way to the top. Yeah, I'm changing the gradient. I think I ended up going with the radial gradient, but I tried all the different ones, conical, canonical, elliptical, radial, linear, and I think radial was the best one. That kind of could give me a two-tone look. I wanted it to be half and half. I couldn't figure out how to do that. And I know there's a way for you to have multiple gradients on a shape in Affinity, but I'm not that fluent in Affinity either, so I don't know how to do that. Now I'm trying to make the circle look like it's kind of laying flat, which again, like I said, perspective for me is difficult. So I just pretty much leave the circle as is. So pretty much I'm almost done. I'm gonna start adding some shadows to the boot. I use outlines, different color outlines, so that I can differentiate my section sometimes. That's helpful for me. And then I just get rid of the outline later. Now I'm just connecting the bottom of the shoe to the tan part so it looks cohesive. And, just closing all the little gaps, lining everything up, making my line straight. And I'm putting the little shadow underneath the boot so it doesn't look weird and it gives it some more dimension. Yep. And now you're gonna see me group everything together, make it one object, name it, and then put it side by side so that I can see where the shadows are. And I'm just gonna give it some more dimension basically. Now it's not 100% because I don't have the little R next to the tree, and my tree probably doesn't look as good as the original one, but yeah, that's good enough. And as I'm looking at this, I'm seeing that the top leather part of the boot doesn't go all the way back to the back of the boot. So little imperfections there. I'm using Gaussian blur to make the shadow look more natural. Adding a shadow to the bottom of the boot. And I did a clipping mask for that, and I put the shadow inside the boot itself. And now I'm dragging it over to the picture, duplicating it, shrinking it so that it could be side by side on his leg. And again, I had to position that it couldn't go behind the whole group. I had to put it inside of, you'll figure it out as you do it. So yeah, now I'm just gonna group everything together so that it makes me have, less confusion, and name everything so that I know what I'm doing when I look back at it. And I'm gonna add my paint stroke. Now, I'm not good at masking. I'm pretty sure there's a way to do this mask better than how I do it, but I ended up putting it on the picture, on the painting, and then I erased the front. I tried to find a brush that was similar in strokes so that it didn't look bad, it looked more natural. Erased the parts away that I did not want. And then being that some of the part that I erased is in front and I needed to be behind him, but I still need that same stroke to be in front, I duplicated it. So I made two paint strokes and then I put the other one in front and erased again the parts that I didn't want so that I could have some in front and then some behind him. There might be an easier way to do that as well. I'm not sure how to do it, but here's the final image, and I will show you what it looks like on mock-up.